So welcome everyone to this inner guidance class on May 2nd, 2024. And the topic tonight is divine downloads for tough decisions. We have some great stories about this, so I hope you really enjoy it. This last 90 minutes, everyone is welcome to bring a friend. And we hold this the first Thursday of every month. We've been doing this for 2 years now. Our goal is to increase our inner guidance by sharing stories and insights and tips and questions so you can take away inspiration and ideas to try. And for those seeing the replay, we hope to see you live next time. The first part of this is a review of last month's theme and exercises, and to see how that went for you and to have an opportunity to share or any questions that came up for you over this last month. And the second part of this is the theme for this month, which is the divine downloads for tough questions. And we end with an exercise that you can use until we meet again. So, hello, Kathy, welcome. And it looks like Lupita's in the waiting room too. I'll go ahead and admit her.
Yes, it's good.
Hello, Lupita, welcome. These are some dear new friends that have joined us today, fellow coaches and healers, so welcome. I think everybody here is a healer or a coach. So we're all in good company. Would you like to drop an emoji in the chat just to let us know how you feel? Because I just learned that when we express ourselves, our oxytocin and our good brain chemistry happens. Welcome, Lupita. I'm glad you're here.
Hi,
Glad to see you.
good to see you too.
Thank you. So who am I? Bess McCarty, a coach and counselor for 30 years, holistic health practitioner, body-mind therapist, inner child therapist, and I'm a grandma and an artist. And I love inner guidance because it helps me to navigate all the parts of my life. Inner guidance is my favorite thing because it helps me to have better relationships, health, career, and of course, spiritual fulfillment too. So what could be more important than something that could affect and regulate all of these areas? Would you like to drop into the chat what you'd like to get from this class? What drew you to inner guidance, if you would care to say? And I'd like to hear that. And okay. Or would anybody like to express just in, a minute or so what you'd like to get from this class? What drew you here? What you want to get from it? That's okay. Some people just want to listen. That's great. So inner guidance. Here's a quote that I really like. This class is designed to be a potluck of stories, true stories from our lives about inner guidance, about the divine working in our lives. And I just love the inspiration from this. So as we talk, if a story comes to mind to you, if you remember something that you'd like to share, or say, oh, that reminds me of when I did have this inner guidance experience or this spiritual coincidence. And inner guidance can come in intuition, dreams, emotional feelings, a body feeling. It can come when we're really happy, when we're playful, creative. That's kind of conducive to letting us be able to listen and experience our inner guidance. And so I'll be asking, in a little bit, I'll share some things, and I'll be asking who else has a story that they might like to share about inner guidance in your life. We've had some amazing stories on here. But why stories? Because they really open us to possibilities, to hope, to what we can have in our lives too, and these are true stories. And one author, Harold Klemp, he said, souls want and hunger for these true accounts for assurance. I think that's what they give me, assurance that there's something bigger than me at work, kind of looking out for me, wanting to help me and support me and love me. And so that's inner guidance for you. Now, last month's theme was real conversations for inner guidance, because every month we talk about a different aspect of inner guidance. And real conversations is a tool, a method, a 4-step method that I evolved over 20 years ago when I noticed how I moved from problem to solution, including accessing my inner guidance on the way. So the way that I found that I moved was, I'm just going to do my own screen share here for a moment and show you guys this. And can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So make this bigger here. Okay. So real conversations is a 4-step process that I noticed how I would always move myself or my clients from problem to solution. Gonna turn my phone off here. And 4 steps. What's my problem? How am I feeling? What do I need? And how can I meet that need in a good way? So these are the 4 steps. Not a lot of people are very versed in feelings and needs because we're taught to cut those off when we were younger. You know, a lot of times we were invalidated for our feelings and needs, like, oh, stop being angry, rather than give the child a healthy outlet for their anger. Here, beat on this pillow, you know, get your anger out. It's just stop being angry, we were told. Or my mom would say, oh, go away, you just want attention. Like that's not a valid need. So, you know, I learned it's not okay. I would get her displeasure if I wanted attention. Not okay to need attention. Or you're not hungry, we just ate. You know, I could have sworn I was still hungry, or hungry for something else. So we learn to invalidate from our childhood messages and from society, that to kind of divorce ourselves from our own feelings and needs. And so they go underground, and then we don't understand why I still have a problem. Why am I still having the same behavior and I can't change it? It's because the feelings and the needs were never addressed. We never went there. We just try to stop the problem with deciding to, or, you know, New Year's resolutions or affirmations or something like that. But until we, as a body mind therapist and inner child therapist, I know, have experienced for over 30 years that the way to change the behavior or the problem is to have to go inside and connect with ourselves and say, what am I feeling right now? And what am I needing right now? And so this is the 4-step method of real conversations. And a lot of people don't know what they're feeling. So I wrote out a chart of feelings, you know, mad, glad, sad, afraid. And I wrote out a list of needs that we might have: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And we went deeply into those last class, into the replay from last time contains those. It describes it very well. And I invited people to journal with that, with the 4 steps about any problem they have, and then bring that here. If, and I wonder if anybody has some journaling that they wish that they would like to share from doing the real steps, the 4 steps real conversations process. It might have been a different group last time. Welcome, Joan. Glad you made it.
Thank you. Me too, finally. What a mess.
You had a tough time. Was it easy this time?
No, only because I discovered last night that Meetup, and this is from another Meetup group coordinator, that there's a virus in Meetup And so it's messing with the dates and the times. And so in Meetup, it said the event was from 3 to 6:30. And so when I saved it, it's into my calendar, my Google Calendar, it saved it as 3 o'clock. And so I went to try to get in, and the Eventbrite link didn't work. So I thought it was just messed up. Eventbrite said it was 5 to 6:30. So I noticed that after the fact. So I just tried now and it let me in. So, but that's a consistent virus problem in Meetup, is that it's changing the times and sometimes the date of the events. So Meetup has told this event coordinator in the future to put it in the title of the event. So in case there's confusion, it'll at least be correct in the title. So it's messy apparently, but yeah, anyway, that's a little bit of history here. So
Glad you made it.
thank you.
Looks like there's somebody waiting to come in. Great. And Leafland, welcome. So thank you. You know, this is still a gift that we can meet like this. I'm still grateful, even with all the glitches. And I suppose that they bring us some sort of spiritual lessons with all of all the things that we go through. Welcome, Leafland. I'm glad you're here. My goodness.
Yes.
So
Beth,
glad.
Thanks, Bess.
Thank you.
can you hear me okay?
Who is it? Who's speaking?
It's Roseanne. Can you hear me
Oh,
okay?
yes, Roseanne. Uh-huh.
My neighbor's coming over in a few minutes to do laser. I'm gonna have to go, but I have a story I'd really like to share.
Oh,
and it's
yes. Thank you.
a
Thank you.
topic.
Interrupt. Yeah.
I had my hand up, but
Oh.
anyway, I just thought I'd unmute myself and tell you because I have a time constraint here.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm a chiropractor before I retired 2.5 years ago, and I know how important this part of your anatomy is. I mean, there are chiropractors that only do right up here. They're called hole-in-one. Anyway, I knew I had a tumor on my spine, and it's been scaring the shit out of me for a long time. And then I found out that it grew. And I went and talked to 3 surgeons, and every bone in my body, every cell in my body wanted to not do this surgery, but I had to because it's growing, and it's on the spinal cord inside the vertebral column. So there's not a lot of space. So I was walking and I talked to my friend Beth, who's just so wonderful with finding inner guidance. She said, well, Roseanne, she told me her story. Did you ask for a waking dream? I said, no, I really haven't yet. And so right away, we hung up and I decided to ask for a waking dream. And instantly, the first thing that happened, this was like 6 or 8 weeks ago, so it wasn't real warm out and there weren't any birds. But all of a sudden, a bunch of birds start talking on my left side. They're just beep, 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 you know how birds are. And they just start chatting with each other. And then a few minutes later, my down jacket, I busted the zipper on it. It came open. I said, oh no. But then I was able to zip it back real quick. You know, that's what they do. They unzip this thing and then I put it back together. And I thought, well, but it came together really easily. It wasn't a big fix-it job. And then the last answer was on my way. We have bikers that sometimes share the trail, and they never stop. Well, I was going down this hill, walking down a hill, and this biker, he stopped. He was going up the hill, and he stopped. He was my age. It doesn't really matter. They never stop. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good. And so then amazing things happened. I got to tell you, I just got to tell you this. This is what is so cool. About 3 days before my surgery, I was walking at our Clear Creek, and I just happened to ended up walking with a lady. You know, I do spiritual exercises every morning that help me to stay in tune with inner guidance. And so I'm sort of tuning into that kind of stuff. Anyway, long story short, I ended up walking with this lady. That has happened twice in almost 20 years since I've lived here. So it doesn't happen much. Well, it turns out we have a lot of things in common. She separated from her husband of 34 years. I had just separated from mine of 33 years. And it turns out she's an occupational therapist. And so she knew exactly what to tell me to get ready for this surgery. And I had no clue. It's that said on the piece of paper, you do this and this and that and that and that, but I hadn't gotten to it yet. And she said, no, you just pull everything down so you can reach it easy. Made it really easy. And then the last thing she said before we parted, she says, and I said to her, she said, is anybody helping you? And I said, well, a lot of people want to help, but they want, I said, yeah, they can help me make meals, but I didn't know how to pull that together. And then about 30 minutes later, I'm in the locker room at the community center. And I'm telling one of my peeps at the community center, you know, we talk a lot in the locker room. Anyway, I'm telling her how I'm having surgery in a few days. And another person, Julie, pipes up. She said, she should get a meal train. This meal train is this amazing thing. And I didn't know about it before, but in a meal train, people sign up online to bring you food at a convenient time for them. And you put in your address and you tell them what you can eat and can't eat. And I mean, I had no idea what I was in for. I really didn't know how I was going to feel after the surgery. And it was pretty crappy. And I couldn't eat for about a week, really. I had some swelling in my throat. But amazing things happened. And so I had this cold laser sitting on my counter because it was part of my practice when I was practicing. And I just hadn't thought of using it for myself, but I was really having problems swallowing and my mouth couldn't remember how to chew. I mean, a lot of things. Anyway, I said, so well, let's just try 15 seconds. And I put it on my neck for 15 seconds and it didn't make it worse. It was a little bit better the next day. So I said, oh, let's do it for a whole cycle. So I just did it on my neck. And then gradually I started feeling better and better. And then my neighbor, who's coming over in a few minutes, I asked him if you do it on the back of my neck. That's really where the like 98% of the intervention was. He said, sure. And then an amazing thing happened. I actually felt healing. Up till that time, I was just craving my oxycodone every 4 hours, like taking the full dose. And I don't like to take drugs, but it was like, I don't like to be in pain. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that was such a huge clue. God, yeah. I mean, it was like I was laying in bed. I went for a whole 8 hours without a pain pill. And it was just, I could feel this healing energy in my neck. And then it turns out my neighbor across the street, another neighbor, I didn't realize her, I thought her concussion was all better. Well, I said, well, why don't we just try trading laser treatments? And so she and I have been trading laser treatments, and I have this incredible range of motion in my neck that I didn't have 5 or 6 days ago. And my other friend says to me, Roseanne, why don't you use some CBD oil on your neck? So I started, yeah, I have it here, right? So I'm putting on the CBD oil, and it was like I could just feel more and more healing energy coming into my neck. And yeah, I decided to take my oxycodone tonight because I got to go for a post-op visit tomorrow. And I got to wake up at some insanely early hour in the morning to go. And so I wanted to really get a good night's rest. But what I'm getting at is, I mean, divine guidance brought me all of that. And look at my neighbor. She comes over twice a day, and it's helping her concussion symptoms. She comes over twice a day. I scan her neck, and she scans my neck. And we're both really seeing wonderful results. So who knew, right? Who knew? And somebody had tried to convince me that my laser wasn't a good laser. But, you know, here I am. It's all I got. And what do I have to lose? I'm going to try it, right? And this is the first thing that opened the door. And that was the other thing about inner guidance. It's like I had to trust my own instincts because this person told me, oh, that laser you have is not really very good. It doesn't really stimulate the tissues. It causes scar tissue. Well, I remembered I had this little dot on my chest, and it was the size of my thumbnail. Well, now it's the size of my little fingernail. It's like 1/4 the size of what it was. And it was from this laser. That's not scar tissue. That's stimulating the healing. That's stimulating the natural body's abilities. So I had to trust my own instincts. And I think that's part of inner guidance is, and this is not easy for me. So anyway, but it's trusting your own instincts and, is this right? And asking for waking dreams and then trusting. I mean, I can just, so many amazing things have happened since this surgery. But anyway, I really want to tell you guys that.
Thank
And
you
it's-
so much, Roseanne.
Yeah.
You had step by step everything you needed, from tips to meal train to laser to CBD and
Yeah.
uh, everything that you couldn't have planned all that, and you couldn't have known,
No.
would have helped. But your inner guidance led you to directly to it without having to sort through a whole lot of stuff.
Well, I did have to sort through some stuff, but I think honestly, going back to the contemplation in the mornings, to me, that secures more connection, greater connection with, the higher good, including my higher good. And I don't think that would be happening if I didn't have that daily connection.
So
Anyway,
every day you do spiritual exercise, and that strengthens your inner guidance.
well, it just makes things happen. It's like I started to walk with that lady and her dog at Clear Creek. It's like, I never met her. She was leaving town the next day, moving away from town. I'll never see her again. It's like, and then I had this meal train. I had no idea I wasn't going to be able to cook or couldn't even eat. And so it's like, it was just amazing. I mean, I call it the Holy Spirit,
So
but yeah.
you really
all of it.
loved. You really loved and cared for, even though you're single now and your kids are grown and everything, and you still have what you need.
It's very cool. Anyway, guys, if I can do it, you can do it.
Thank you
So,
so much for sharing your story. That's perfect for this class.
yeah, don't take offense if I leave early.
Oh, I know you have to.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, hon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Roseanne is a friend for many years, probably 30 years that I've known you through a similar spirit or same spiritual path. So there was an example when she spoke. Did anybody else have a memory of inner guidance come up for you? Okay. Well, I was just raise your hand if you ever want to speak or share. And I was just looking at the chat, and definitely I think the decisions things drew a lot of people here. Several people needed clarity, decisions to make, prioritizing, and all that. So I think that was the topic that some people come for, or they're really drawn for different topics. So just one more, a little bit about the real conversations method. Some people really like that chart of thinking, okay, I'm in a situation right now. I'd like to get out of it. How can I get out of it? Well, you can use your inner guidance can work through these 4 steps. This is just one way, one of so many ways the inner guidance can work, but this is just one. The real conversations method way would be to say, okay, what's my problem now? What situation am I in? How am I feeling? Because our emotions can often tune us into what I'm needing right now. Do I need clarity? Do I need trust of life? Do I need to research some solutions? Do I need to ask for help? Like Roseanne. Do I need to learn something? But it helps us right away, whether it's an emotional need or mental or spiritual or physical need, or, I'm not thinking clearly, oh, my blood sugar, I need to eat something, So what's going on? What do I feel? What do I need? And how can I meet that need in a healthy way? Sometimes we meet needs in unhealthy ways, like getting drunk, when we're in some pain. And actually have a story about that. Yeah, I could share that. So I read this story about a lady whose husband was in prison for 20 years. She had children. They had children. Now she was a single mom. And the stress was so great at times that she became an addict. And this eventually wrecked her life and wrecked her children's life. She did make it into rehab. But I'm thinking this is a perfect example of how real conversations can avert addictions, can prevent addiction. Because if she would have, like, the stress is so great, we're just going to reach for anything right now to turn it off. But what if she had sought her inner guidance by asking, what am I feeling right now? And what am I needing? And how can I get that need met? You know, if she was overwhelmed as a parent, I guess that the symptom or the problem that she was going through might be stress. What am I feeling? Overwhelmed. What am I needing? Needing some help with my kids. Needing some support as a parent. And then how to meet that in a healthy way. It could be mom support groups. They could be trading, watching each other's kids. There could be, I don't know, sometimes state programs to afford babysitters, but there's always a solution to every need. And the Real Conversations method teaches that, that's a method that I trademarked, but it teaches that there's a solution to every need. And there's never a problem that doesn't have an answer, because life doesn't give us that. You know, life is not unkind, just here to torture us or something like that. Every problem contains a spiritual gift, a spiritual lesson. And when I trust that and know that, that opens my inner guidance to acceptance. Now I'm not mad at life because you brought me this, and, you know, I'm not happy, and why did you do this to me, and I'm a victim and all that. But if I say this is a gift, and how is this a gift? What is it? What spiritual quality is it developing in me? Then my inner guidance can be free, because now my mind is open and my heart is open, and the inner guidance can then come through and give me some ways to make it easier or better, help me learn the spiritual lesson about it. So if we can just remember, the one tip for inner guidance, if we can just remember to take a breath and then ask, you know, tune into our own inner child. I love inner child work. You know, ask our heart, ask the little girl inside who's hurting, maybe from some triggers from the past or whatever. What am I feeling and what am I needing? And then trust that there is a way to get that need met. There's always a way. And the lady wouldn't have to have turned to drugs, because, you know, she's probably scared there wasn't a need. So let me just try to feel better in the moment, take away some of the pain and fear. But if we can ask those questions and trust that there's a solution, our inner guidance can more easily direct us, like it did Roseanne's, to some helps along the way. I have an experience that life never gives me more than I can learn from, more than I can handle, and it always gives me the way to handle it. Anybody else have some thoughts about this? What do you think about challenges that have come your way? It's okay to just listen. I don't mind that. Please do raise your hand, though, if you have a thought or something to share, because we feel good when we express ourselves. And Joan.
I actually kind of joined this group just to hear what others are saying. And in my particular situation, I was, it's almost like I've lived two lives. Like the first half of my life, I felt like I had developed a good inner connection and was able to kind of hear that, you know, inner voice or gut that would help really kind of allow me to make decisions on what would be best in a tough situation for myself. And then I just got blown out of the water with illness and family deserting me and people turning their back on me. And it just hasn't stopped, like for the last 25 years, just these mega challenges, to where it's just really destroyed me and has destroyed my ability to tap into that core. And I've just lost that connection, and I'm really struggling, like, how to get it back. It's gotten to the point where I kind of live in a lot of fear too, just first thing in the morning, because I just feel so disconnected from everybody and everything. And my, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, like whether it's God or your inner power, universe, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, I've been struggling with this for quite a while to try to find a way to get back to that center. I've tried so many different things, whether it's meditation, joining different spiritual groups, you know, taking walks of my own. Nature's kind of always been my church. And, you know, I get some temporary relief, but nothing that I feel I can really, you know, stand on foundationally at this point. So yeah, I'm just kind of interested in hearing what other people do and where their lives are at, you know, too. So I thought it could be like maybe a little, like a learning group for me too. So,
Thank you, Joan. I'm so glad you're here. And you know, the first step to finding a solution is asking, you know, versus, oh, there's no hope for me, you know, but you know there is, and you're seeking it, and you took some steps.
yeah, I've been trying to find like a good trauma PTSD therapist too for many years, and I just can't connect with one. So I do keep trying to reach out and try different things, because I do kind of feel that way, like you just never know like when the right situation's going to present itself. But I know I can't just sit in my apartment and expect something to drop out of the sky in my lap. So so I keep trying to push forward. It gets really hard sometimes though, because I've been to some pretty dark places internally, just getting tired, you know, just really exhausted from all the struggles that have come from like chronic illness and, you know, challenges financially, holding a job, et cetera, et cetera. But I definitely can say I give it my all. I really do. I push really hard. Yeah. So thanks for letting me be here today.
I'm proud of you for continuing your journey and looking for solutions for yourself. I do work with people like this. Would you like a complimentary coaching session with me?
Oh, sure. Sure. That would be nice. Yeah.
I'll send you a link to fill out the form to do that.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you, Bess.
Right. Oh.
Hey, Seamus. Shh. Come here. Come here.
Okay. The main thing I want to give people here is hope and belief and trust that there is a solution to every need that we have. We're not just left out in the cold. And sometimes life is just waiting for us to trust that and be open to it and be able to receive it. Sometimes it takes a lot of patience. I can relate to that, stretching my patience, think, well, okay, I'm ready. When's it gonna help, you know? But I don't know spirit's reasons or ways, and say in God's time, but there always is a solution. So often later on we understand why it took so long, or how we changed by going through that process, that maybe I couldn't have spiritually grown in any other way but then what I went through. So yeah, I want to give the hope and the comfort that there are solutions. And you know, one way is to ask ourselves, you know, what am I needing? What do I need? Some people don't know what their needs, so I wrote a chart out with all the different needs. And they can look through the chart, maybe one would resonate with them and light up for them. Be glad to send you that chart if you would like. Just message me. I think you all know how to message me. And I can send you that chart, that Real Conversations chart, with a list of the feelings and needs and suggestions of ways to meet the needs. That chart, a friend of mine said, I wish I had that chart 10 years ago. She likes it so much. And another friend said, when I have a problem, it's really comforting to know that there's simply a need underlying it, and that I can find and meet that need. It's very comforting because now she has a structure. She knows what to do with it. So that's the Real Conversations review from last month. And if there's somebody, I'm going to go ahead and admit Robbie from the waiting room. Hi, Robbie, welcome. Glad you're here. So just for a tiny little break, you know what I'd like to do is ask who has a birthday in the month of May. Does anybody here have one? Any birthday people? Nope. Okay, my sister does.
Yeah, I do also have a birthday in May.
Who has a birthday?
Me, Joan. I raised my hand as a,
Oh, hi, Joan.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to give Joan some sparkles. These are birthday sparkles. Happy birthday to you this month.
everybody.
And welcome, Robbie. Robbie is a friend, another friend from the school that several of us are in. I'm glad
Thank you.
glad you're here. Kind of glad I left the meeting open. Okay, so what we're going to do for this, we have just about 50 minutes left here. And so I'd like to go into the topic, the theme for this month for May is divine downloads for tough decisions. And the reason this came up to my inner guide, the topics all come from my inner guidance. They go, okay, do this one this month and do this one. And here's a story for this and this. It just flows right through. That's why I just love doing these now for over 2 years. But I can't stop because they're so fun. So the reason this topic came up was I thought, well, how do we tune into our inner guidance when there's so much information bombarding us from every direction, everywhere on the internet? And a lot of times it's conflicting information, like maybe you're looking for an answer. Maybe you have a tough decision to make. And so you might use your analytical mind and you might be torn or think, how do I know which decision, which way to go? Or you look it up on the internet and you get conflicting, like me. I found health advice on the internet opposite. Whatever I found for, I have some sore leg muscles, and whatever I found conflicting advice for just the opposite. So I go, okay, how do I know what's right for me, or hopefully save time sorting through all that stuff and all that research? So it's inner guidance that can just lead us sometimes right directly to it. Another thing that can be a deterrent is sometimes society. What if my inner guidance, what if my heart wants me to go a certain direction, but society is saying that's bad, or you shouldn't, or you should, go to school and get a job? And what if I would just want to start my own entrepreneur business? That's what I really, really want to do. But society's, my training and everybody else, or my family is saying, do it this way, or, don't marry that person from another race, well, there can be a lot working against our inner guidance. There can be some formidable enemies to it, through people pleasing, through wanting to fit in, through conflicting information, all these things. So sometimes it takes courage to follow our inner guidance, our own heart, and do what we know inside is best for us, that maybe nobody else would even understand or agree with. And how do we get the courage to stand in that lone decision? Well, we're going to do an exercise in a little bit about that. Wanted to give a couple of examples about inner making decisions. And remember that if a story comes up to you and you raise your hand, then we'd love to hear your story too, because this is really built to be a potluck for stories, to feed each other, to share what inner guidance in our life. So I can share a couple. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter. When she was born, it was during COVID and not a very good time to travel, let alone move. But I lived in Kansas at that time. My son lived here in San Diego. And I flew out here a lot. I traveled anyway, although I didn't attempt moving till she was 1. But when she was born, I flew out like, every few months to come and see her. And it broke my heart when I left. It just tore me up inside. We have such a strong love bond, and I just knew I needed to be with her. But I kept waiting for a feeling, a message of, well, when should I move? I got to move, but when should I move? And I didn't get an answer until one morning in October. I woke up and this message came, move in the spring. Okay, finally, And it wasn't exactly a voice, but it was, the words were there somehow just imprinted within me. I guess that's your intuition. And so I said, okay, now I'm going to put stuff in motion. Now I know I can move in a few months. And I did, and it worked very well. A whole bunch of cool things happened all around to support that. And I've heard that when we make a commitment, all of life, all of heaven moves to support that decision, that commitment. And uncanny things happen you would never have expected. And that's what happened to me, story after story connected with my move. But that was a decision, you know, should I move and when should I move? I've had experiences before where I just got nothing. And then it was like, okay, then it's your choice. One time I wondered whether to stay in a relationship that was difficult. And all along I kept saying, are you sure? You know, I felt like I was divine guided to be in that relationship. And I would say, are you sure I'm supposed to be in this? And it kept saying, yes, you know, for both of you, you're helping each other learn stuff. And then we went along and I felt kind of proud because I was learning stuff, you know, and I saw myself growing. And at one point I asked, should I still be in this relationship? And I just got silence. And I continued in the relationship for a few more months, but it turned out that my partner had asked the same thing. And he also got silence. So then we realized that our learning experiences were done and we could leave. It was okay. But we stayed until things kind of got rough and edgy. And I think that's because it was trying to boot us out. It was time to move on. And so then we did. But that's it, you know, big decisions, moving and whether to go or stay in a relationship. And a few of the people here I know from an online marketing school that I'm in, just for a month now, a little over a month. And at the time I looked at this, I wondered, well, I took some classes with the leader of this school, which has grown quite large now, but she had some free classes and some paid classes, and I took those. And then I never thought I would end up being in a year-long program in the school, which is not inexpensive. But as I was approaching it, I had the strong feeling that I wanted to do it. I was going to do it. And my brother called up one day and he, not knowing any of this, he said something about, well, our family might sell the farm and we would each have a bit of money from selling the farm. He said, what would you do with your money? And I said, I would invest it. And the next day on the call for the school, the leader mentioned that this is the best investment that you can do. So that confirmed my feeling that yes, I wanted to be in the school, and I did. You know, I paid the tuition, and I just, it's totally totally having the time of my life, and I just love it. So helpful with marketing my work, and less doing it professionally. So those are some decisions. Now I have a story for you guys from Dolly Parton. And Lori's going to bring up her picture so that we can look at her beautiful face while I tell this story. So I've got to pull up the story so I can make sure I get it right here. Okay. Country singer Dolly Parton wrote the songs I Will Always Love You. You know, that one that, oh, what was her name? Whitney Houston sings, you know, I will always love you. Well, she wrote that. I didn't know Dolly Parton wrote that. And she wrote Jolene, and she wrote those songs on the same night. You know, both were big hits and everything. Well, when the I Will Always Love You song, when that was at the top of the charts in 1974, Elvis Presley wanted to record his own version of the song. And Dolly was interested until Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, said, well, it's standard procedure that when the king of rock and roll covered a song, he got half the rights to that song, forever in the future. So she refused it. This is a big decision, right? She said, I'm really, really sorry, and I cried all night. It was terrible for me. On the one hand, it's Elvis. And people told me, you're crazy, it's Elvis Presley. But she said, I just couldn't do it. So something in her was really, really torn, right? It made a sense, and everybody's telling her to do it, and her mind was telling her to do it. She said, but something told me in my heart not to do it, and I didn't. She followed that inner guidance of her heart. And then Whitney Houston came along with her version. She said, and I made enough money from the rights to buy Graceland, which was Elvis Presley's home. So just a little bit more about Dolly Parton. She grew up in severe poverty, and no one famous has done more for the education of the poor than her. In 1990, the percentage of students who did not graduate from high school in her hometown was over 30%. She introduced the Buddy program, where all the high school graduates received a nice sum when they graduated. It wasn't just a waste of money. She personally came and explained the concept to them. Everyone should find a buddy. And whoever doesn't succeed, she will find a buddy for them. Everyone had to sign that they will graduate and do everything in their power to ensure their buddy also graduates. She taught young people about friendship and helping. The number of school dropouts dropped to below 6%, and has remained so until today. When 900 families lost their homes in the 2016 fires, she paid each family $1,000 for the next 5 months. That's 900 families. She paid $1,000 each for 5 months. When she came to the bank to finish the paperwork, she gave each family another $5,000, totaling $9 million. Also, her work, Imagination Library from 1995, was inspired by realizing that young people in rural areas and poor families already were behind when they started school because they couldn't read and stuff, and that that handicapped them. So her goal for this program was for every child in her district to receive one book once a month from birth till they went into school, completely free of charge, without any conditions. It started as an initiative in her hometown and has spread to a huge number of countries around the world. By 2018, over 100 million books were distributed in this way. She's also known for her witty statements. In the beginning of her career, she said, I'm not offended by jokes about stupid blondes because I know I'm not stupid. And I'm not really blonde either. So that is, well, okay, we can thank you, Dolly, for your joining us here and for your story, and Lori for putting that up. So I told you all that stuff, all the good she was able to do with her money. Could have been a lot of it traced back to her inner guidance when she made that decision. When everyone said, you're crazy for not letting Elvis, take half the rights and everything. She made a lot of money. She's held out. Must have taken a lot of courage. Must have been terrible conflict inside. But she followed her heart. Just something couldn't do it. I think she's a spiritual person too. So she probably, did her own spiritual work about that to get that answer. So I just wonder, everybody here, just a discussion question. Has there been a decision? Has there been a hard decision that you have had to make? Or that you have to make now? And how did you do it? or what helps you now? Hey, Joan.
I feel like, I guess, I think, I think many people, including myself, kind of tend to believe that if we're making a decision that is kind of guided by like spirit or inner voice, or whatever you want to call it, we get confirmation of that based on the results, like good results or bad results. And I'm kind of curious what other people think about that, because we're constantly making decisions, all day long, like all throughout our life. So how do we know if, we're making the right decision or not? I just made a decision recently to move, and I had lived at this other place for like 18 years, and I've never lived any place that long. I've probably moved like almost 20 times throughout my life, and from in and out of states even. And but this time, because I'm physically challenged, I just don't have much energy. But I ended up having to move almost by myself. I had a few people helping a little bit, but it was way more than I could do physically. But I just kind of committed to it and did it. And I think I'm kind of yet still waiting to see what the results will be, because as soon as I got here, a whole bunch of other life challenges hit me at the same time. So it always, kind of trips me up a little bit in as far as reflecting on my decision process. But, I just made this decision just because I had this, well, for two reasons, I guess. The place I was living, they just kept upping my rent like every 6 months a lot. And it was financially, it was driving me out, but they also wouldn't tell me why. And it just left me with this very insecure feeling, like almost very victim-like. And I didn't like that non-transparency. I don't trust people when they operate like that. And so I'd come home sometimes and almost have like a little bit of anxiety, just waiting for like another note on my door with another rent increase or something. And I just kind of got to the point where I just couldn't live like that anymore. So I had been looking around for a different place to live, and I found a friend of mine whose mother lives here informed me of this one place that they have for rent in a 55 plus community. So I just recently moved here, and I think it's kind of yet to be seen what it will be like. But I think so far, just overall, if I kind of look past all the other life challenges that are piling up and bombarding me now, I think and hope in the long run it's going to be a good move. So for me anyway, there's different things that just kind of drive me to even think about changing things up or making a big decision. And because I have a lot of fear in my life now that I didn't have before, it can be a bigger challenge and struggle to kind of get to that place to commit, for sure. And it's scary. It's just still scary. I hope in the end it works out, but I made the decision, and I'm here. I'm still living in Boxville, but at least the move part's over. So yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Congratulations. And it can be kind of daunting, can it, when we lose some of our physical abilities, and kind of
Yeah.
scary. And then sometimes we wonder, well, was that, things are upsetting right after I made this decision. Did I make the right decision? But sometimes it could be, yeah, like a clearing, a cleansing, or an adjusting time. And then sometimes it's better than ever after that, after the adjustment time is done.
Yeah, that was one reason why I made it, though, is because I had moved so many times. Some of those toward the end were because of illness, and I didn't get diagnosed for a long time and didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. So I ended up with this accumulation of stuff, and that has been driving me crazy for a long time, paying on a storage unit. And one thing that's been a goal of mine for a long time was just needing to downsize and just get rid of stuff and try to travel light again. So I did do a lot of downsizing while packing, but I was on a time deadline too, to get out. So I didn't quite get through everything that I wanted to get through. So now living in Boxville, I'm gonna do more of that as I unpack as well. So that's one hopeful positive thing that's gonna come from this, is just being able to, really weed through things to keep, but hopefully more to get rid of. And how to do that. I'd love to make a little money on some of the stuff that has value, but yeah, it always feels better for me to travel light in all different areas of life if I can. So hopefully that'll be a positive that comes from it.
That happened to me. It feels so good. I felt like it was a clearing somehow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your move. I've heard that always a move is always a step up in consciousness, without exception.
Oh,
I'm getting ready to move in a week.
you are?
Be closer to my granddaughter.
Oh,
I live
wow.
an hour away now on this really cool organic farm, but I'm gonna move closer to her into town.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So we're moving, aren't we? Thoughts? Anybody else? About anything we've shared so far? Questions?
I can share. I have learned to lean into seeing the number 11. 11 is a special number for me, and the date September 11th has special meaning around my career and my brother's birthday. And I was used to help him when I was a child. He was speech impaired, and I became a speech pathologist. And the significant events are September 11th. And my granddaughter, against her mother's wishes, was born on September 11th. And I told my daughter, it's like, wow, her due date September 9th. I think she's going to be born on the 11th. Well, she was September 11th. So this whole thing being in this class, the number 11 keeps showing up. So I know I'm on the right path. And I think will have a divine connection to my granddaughter. So I did welcome her the day she was born. I sent a text to her mother telling her, just my angels are welcoming her angels. Like, she said, Mom, I knew when she was born, the morning of September 11th. I just lost my screen, I knew when she was born the morning of September 11th, I'm never going to hear it from the end of it from my mother. So I just, it's just like a confirmation. It's like, I just notice it. So just want to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Inner guidance can come through those signs. Yeah, we call it like waking dreams, signs or symbols or numbers, and numerology can speak to people. And sometimes that's how the inner guidance, I think, gets our attention when it wants to give us a certain message. If it knows you're looking for 11, then it might wait till you see one to, like then your mind could open to have a divine download. I think. Well, thank you. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? I can share a couple of tips about what to do, when you're at a crossroads. And Lori says here that she slows down to access her inner guidance. Sometimes I need to do that. Going faster than my inner guidance, outrunning it. My mind is too busy or something like that. That's why I think that sometimes in the middle of the night, I might wake up when my mind is not occupied with my to-do list or the clock or anything like that, or other people responding to other people. And I think that sometimes in the night, I might get thoughts that are helping me, tips to help me, or insights, or guide or direction. So I just grab my phone and put it on notes and dictate. And then I dictate whatever thing was in, downloading. And in the morning I can look at it. But that keeps me from waking up, as much as I would if I wrote it down. It lets me capture an insight or a thought right then. Other people, a guy named Harold Klemp says he likes to ask, what would love do now? If you're trying to make a decision, go one way or the other way. What would love do now? Not my fear or my anger. A lot of times fear moves us to do something against our inner guidance. I like to, if I'm standing at a fork in the road, I like to say, well, if I went down this way, how does that feel to me? And if I went down this road and did this thing, how does that feel to me? What does my heart say about that? What does my gut say about that? Those are all places that inner guidance can speak to us in our body. So that's one technique that I have. Another person likes to say, well, do I like what's going on in my life right now? If not, what do I want instead? It gets us to thinking, because when we think, that starts creating and bringing that thing about. A whole lot of the stuff that I've experienced now, I've visualized it before. So what do we want instead? Another person likes to ask, well, should I do this or not? They like to ask, or should I tell this person this thing or whatever? Should I mention it? They likes to ask, is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And before they speak their thoughts or talk to another person, that has to pass those 3 tests. Is it true? Is it necessary to say or bring up? And is it kind? I fail in this one. I talk sometimes on the phone with support people, with tech support or something, and what they're saying just doesn't make sense, and I'll raise my voice and get impatient. And I think I'm not being very kind right now. So, but yeah, that can apply to making a decision whether to speak up about something or not. Christine Case left me this tip to share in this group. And she said, when she wants to make a decision, she goes to her future self, the one that can look back and, know if that was a good decision or not. She gets fully into her future self and feels it with all her senses, She can see and hear and feel and taste and smell. She really gets involved with her future self. And then, she asks, and she asks the question, the tough decision she's trying to make, and she listens without emotion and declaring herself that she wants to always work for the higher good versus her ego. And she said this has made a world of difference since she started practicing this. So you can see that we each have different ways to access our inner guidance. It can be as individual as each of us, and it could be as individual as each time we ask. It might be completely different. On these classes over the last 2 years, I've probably shared maybe 100 stories of my inner guidance, and they're all different. So let's be open to something new and not expect it to look like it did before. The more open and childlike we are, more open mind we have, the more open heart we have, the more we can receive the help that is always loving us and supporting us and trying to guide us to an easier, better way. How much we're loved. And some people like to say, show me your ways, God, or whatever you look to, spirit, God, higher power, universe. Show me thy ways. Show me your truth. Let me see with love. And I'd like to invite you to do this exercise now. To think of something in your life that's a decision that's facing you right now. Because a lot of people said they are here about it because they're facing a decision. It might be a hard one or a tough one. But think right now about, I invite you just to close your eyes with me and think about this decision that's in front of you. And really let yourself feel the reality that there is a solution to it. There is a that you can have access to the best thing to do for you. And I'd like to invite you to sing a word that I learned 50 years ago in my spiritual path. I've used it for 50 years now. I like to share it. If it feels right to you, you can try it. And you can sing it silently to yourself if you want to now, or whatever you look to. Maybe you look to Jesus or Krishna. Whatever you look to spiritually, or whatever word you might like to sing, or maybe you want to pray, amen. I'll share the word that excuse me? I'll share the word that I use in case you might like to try it or use it. And it's the word Hu, H-U. It's said to be an ancient name for God, a love song to God, and a communication line to God. And I just sing it like Hu. And I can sing it aloud or I can sing it silently. And I'd like to invite you to take that decision that's with you now to make, that you're looking at, and to quietly either sing Hu to yourself or whatever way that you know opens you to your inner guidance. And we're going to take a whole minute right now of just silence. Let yourself be open. Let yourself take a breath. If you're ready, you can open your eyes. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Does anyone have something they like to share about that experience? How you felt? Robbie, I like that you wrote, I've made all big decisions after being guided by God. Mhm.
I think this that we have all this divine spark of wisdom. Of course, I didn't hear how you started here, so I really don't know where, but and it's well and kicking in a lot of us, in all of us actually, is just waiting for that gift of our attention to burst it into flame. And like you, waking up in the middle of the night, I wake up in the morning and can think, I know the answer now. I really know the answer now. I know what to do. I've been thinking about it for weeks. I don't know how to cope with it. But I can also stand in the shower and in the steam that's hot, and I let my mind settles. All my thoughts are settling in that heat, and suddenly, out of the blue, I know. It's just a weird sort of thing, yes. And it's God, because it's not me. I'm not forcing anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting go. In fact, I'm not thinking of anything particularly, but I have the answer suddenly.
So
That's the thought.
would you say that you can recognize that it's your inner guidance by that it does itself? You didn't do it, you didn't put it there.
That's absolutely true. It's not me at all. I'm usually not thinking of anything in particular,
Nice point.
but letting everything go. And yes, everything settles sort of in my mind.
And you let go and you feel settled and
Yeah.
not hanging on to anything. And
Mm.
thank you. Do you also feel a feeling of calm or
Yeah.
contentment or comfort or
Yeah.
something like that?
I just know it's right.
And you
Yeah.
just know, yeah, you just
Yeah.
know.
You know because you know because you know. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, what a nice feeling that is. What a secure feeling that is.
That's very good.
Thank you. Anybody else comment? How you felt during that? How you feel when inner guidance, when you know, how you feel when you know. Well, I invite you to try that for this coming month. Every month we have a theme, and so May is, this divine downloads. And if you like that exercise, I invite you to write down your toughest decision and leave that paper open for you to jot some tips that might come along. And then I invite you to come back next time, first Thursday of every month, and share with us how this past month's exercise went for you. What's going to happen to you? I don't know. What's going to happen to you this month with your tough decision that you're facing? Could be some interesting stories we'll have. And the next class is June 6th, the first Thursday of every month. And guess what the topic? Play your way to God. Play. It's going to be about the advantages, the benefits of being playful and creative and joyful and childlike and positive and everything, and how children do this naturally and how we can do that too. So that is next time. And the replay will be sent to members, registered members of this class. I want to invite you to pop a note into the chat. Oh, thank you, Lori. She put the title there. To put a note in the chat about an aha moment that you got today, what you got out of this class so far. I invite you, because it's important for us to express ourselves. Good things happen when we just express ourselves. So I invite you to do that. And want to share what one member of the class, what happened to him one time. He was going through some struggles in his business, and he came to this class and he got some tips and insights that he said, thank you so much. He wrote back and he said, as a result of last class, I am now CEO of my company. So it catapulted his success being in the class. And I want to invite you now to join the membership for this class. Some people here, or some people in the class, have been on a free membership, which is ending in 2 months. And the benefits of membership is, number one, the replays. They're sent out to the members of the class. Just in case you miss a class, you could still have the replay. Or in case you want to hear something again, you can have that. And another benefit of the membership is that you have access to archives of the past 2 years. So you get the link to the recordings of 24 of them way back to June 2022. And the reason that's a wonderful, beautiful asset is because if your inner guidance ever feels weak, if you ever feel discouraged or down, or you wonder, where did it go? I used to hear it, where did it go? I need some help right now, and I can't quite find it. Then you can listen to stories. And you can look over the 24 topics in the archives and sort of let your inner guidance light one up for you. How do you choose which one your tip is in? You let your inner guidance kind of light one up for you. And it does it sometimes for people. They'll actually glow with a light, or they just feel drawn to a certain word, like some of the topics are dream guidance, or what emotions can teach you, or body messages or something. And inside each one is a bunch of stories, and they're in the description, but there might be a story with a tip that it was exactly what you needed right then. And why is that such an asset? Because stories open our hearts more than anything else. Stories, when you need that connection, a true story can bring you the hope. And my friend Diane, after she was listening to one of these classes, she said, stories are powerful medicine. You might not realize it, might think it's just a story, but oh my gosh, can open. People we know who are busy, they use these replays like a podcast, and they might listen to them while they drive or exercise or do dishes, because there could be a priceless tip that can shift you from hell to heaven in a moment. And I've had that happen. And the stories help to remind us that inner guidance is as near as our heartbeat. With the membership, with the registration for membership for this class, you also get access to a private Facebook group where there's more stories in there. It's called Inner Guidance Stories. That's the Facebook group. And the members can all find each other in there, and some develop friendships. I know one group that I led, the people became friends for a whole lifetime. So that's the benefit of the groups. But in the group, in the Facebook group, you can ask questions. You can, have that support and that interaction through the month in between these classes. You can leave a story there when you're bursting and you just had an inner guidance and you don't want to save it for next month. You want to put it in the Facebook group, because that's where you can. It's a community of like-minded spiritual people to support you through the month. With the membership, you also get tips and exercises to do through the months. So they're put into the Facebook group or into your email inbox. And with the membership, lastly, you also get text and email reminders for the class and for the replays. So You and everyone that you bring, you're welcome to bring friends to these. Everyone is welcome to 2 complimentary classes. And then I ask you to make a decision if you'd like to become a regular member of the class. And how much is it? It is only $37 a month, and there's no contract. And Lori's going to put a link in the chat where you can register. It's real easy, actually. It's just my name, Bess McCarty /inner. So she'll put that up. So is the class worth it to you? Is registration worth it to you? Well, what's inner guidance worth it to you? To me, it's priceless. But what's it worth to you if your inner guidance can benefit your relationships, your work, your health, and your spiritual fulfillment? Of course, we all have inner guidance, but it helps to have the support when we might need it. People are here to help each other, and we all need that sometimes. So Lori put a link in the chat, and she's going to put also a graphic up for you to see, just to be able to see the purple link. It's just my name, bessmccarty.com/inner. And so if you want support with your inner guidance like I do, and you want the replays, you want access to the archives, you want the Facebook group to meet other more like-minded people than are just here, because there's already 30 people in the Facebook group, and you want a place to be able to tell stories and have interaction all through the month, and you like text reminders and email reminders so that you don't miss one, because you get a lot more out of it by being here live, then you will want to go to this link, either in the chat, which you can click on right now, or you can just write down in that purple. So you are welcome to bring a friend. Why keep it to ourselves? We have a good time in here, and let's share it, because there might be another soul who can use the hope and the upliftment. It could make a big difference in somebody's life, and it could even save lives. So Robbie, the class has been a good confirmation of the power of spiritual inner guidance. Thank you. It is powerful. And did she said sing Hugh? Did I get it right? Yeah, Lupita, it is HU. You can actually Google that online, and you can find out more about Hugh and the power of that word. It's really a very special spiritual word. And you can learn about Hugh. You can hear, oh, there's also a free Hugh app. I have it on my phone. And sometimes when I can't sleep, I might play the Hugh app for 20 minutes, and it always puts me to sleep, and other people too. So, and you can learn, just get the Hugh app. It's free at the App Store, or Google it. It's a very, very old name. It's common. It's found in a number of spiritual paths, not just one. So, are there any questions? We can thank you, Lori. We can let the screen share go now, and you can still find that link